Rock and roll.
So here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Happy anniversary to me.
Wow, this is a big deal. I mean, this is a huge deal. I love this. And I love being here with you to celebrate your anniversary. And it's not our anniversary, it is your anniversary because we're not talking about our relationship.
No, we're talking about me as a podcaster.
How many years? How
As
many years? How many
it
years,
has
JJ?
been 10 years as of the publishing of this show, not the recording, but as
Wow.
the publishing of the show, September 14th, 2024. I launched my show September 14th, 2014, and it was with Fit to Love. And so, I thought, when I kept thinking about, and I've been with this for like months, like, what should I do? What should I do? How do I celebrate? And I thought, oh, do an online summit all day long and have people come and go, and maybe record people from the show or people, some of my guests, or maybe I cut together some of my best episodes. And none of that felt right. None of that felt right, because I'm like, well, I'm a podcaster, so record a podcast. That feels easy and fun and, yeah, and effortless. And I wanted to bring you on to join me, Mr. Doug Sandler, because you're not quite at your 10-year mark yet. It's one of those things where I'm first in this
Just
category. I'm
just
older in this category.
slightly ahead of me, just by a few months. But I'll tell you, just think about, and I know we're going to cover some of this today, but just think about all of the lessons that you have learned, all the different formats that you have tried, the different angles, all of the guests that you've had, the subject matter that you've dealt with, the clients that have come from this, the friends and relationships that you've built, the hidden gifts that you have gotten. I mean, all of those wonderful things that podcasting has done for both of us, but in this case specifically for you, because this is great. I love celebrating 10 years, and this kind of gives me a little cheat sheet of what I'm going to be doing for my 10 years, which is just in a few months from now. So congratulations and welcome to the podcast, JJ Flizanes.
So I kind of made my like 10 lessons this morning, and then I started making my accomplishments, because one of the things that I remember doing before I had the podcast and when I was an entrepreneur, I was always big on being in some kind of group. And, whether it be a paid mastermind that I was a part of, or my own that I was doing for free with some friends at the time, I was always a leader, and I was always the one sort of organizing and sort of being the mother hen, if you will, of, making sure that everybody was fed and keeping everybody in alignment, and making sure we had ways to measure and to celebrate, like, the difference between what our goals were and what our accomplishments were, and not to shame or to make that mean anything, because along the way we changed paths. And that happened in this show
Yeah.
in many different ways, that when you start something, you have this idea of where you think it's going to go, and then life happens. And, one of my special money teachers from years ago, she would always talk about, like, when you're standing at A, you're looking at B, and that's where you're going. So I'm going to go to B. When you get to B, you're going to be going to C. But when you're at A, you can't see C. You can only see B. You can only see the next step. You don't know where the path is going to lead you. There'll be steps after the next step and after the next step, but based on where you're going next is going to determine where you go after that. So this unraveling of a podcast, I thought that I wanted to share with everybody, especially those of you, and there's several of you who've been here for the majority of it, that have been here as early as 2014, maybe even, 2015, maybe even a few of you that have been here, and I might not know some of you, some of you I do know, who've been here since 2014, and that's been a long time. And I want to say thank you for being a part of the community in any way that you have been, even if it's just downloading the show and listening to it on the way to work. Obviously, if you've been here anywhere near that long, there has been enough value for you and your life in order for you to stay committed to being a part of this community. So thank you so much.
I found something that's really interesting, and I don't know if you have found this too. And I don't think this is one of those things that's on your list, because it's just an observation about the podcasting space and the longevity that you've created in staying in the space as long as you have. I think about my podcast going back to 2014 when or 2015, early 2015 when we started our podcast, and and I think about like all of the people that have come from our community, and then I advanced the clock to today, and I'm getting calls today from people that are leaving us messages because we do a special voicemail segment on our show. And these are people that have been listening to the show for 7 and 8 years, but have never called in to say anything. And they're finally calling in because maybe something we said, like, I bought a tractor. I happened to mention the tractor on the show, and somebody from our community reached out and says, "Hey, longtime listener, first time caller." And so think about that as you are listening to JJ now. And if you have never reached out to her with any, whether it's a level of interest in any of the programs she has, or didn't have any comments that you needed to make, but you're just a valuable listener in her community, take a moment and reach out. Now is a perfect catalyst moment for you to reach out, whether it's through her YouTube channel or her website or a contact me page or any of that, and just reach
Instagram.
out, Instagram, wherever you are following JJ and listening to the show. Even a message, a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, anything, reach out and say hello, because we as hosts sometimes don't even realize the impact, positive or negative, that we have in people. In JJ's case, it's always positive. We don't even realize the impact that we have in people's on people's lives. And take a moment, whether you are have always reached out to her or never reached out to her, especially the ones that haven't reached out yet, and say hello, because I'll tell you something, it does mean a lot to us as content creators. 1,500 episodes for me on my show, and almost 10 years. I love when people reach out and say hello, no matter how they do it and no matter what they say. We love that. So I just want to add that
Thanks.
to the episode.
Yeah, no, hopefully you all understand. Those of you who've been here for a while, you've seen the growth and the change and things I've added to it. And yes, of course, I have products and programs and services that I want you to get involved in, because I don't have sponsors on the show. Some of you, sometimes I have, but most of you don't know it. If
More
I
the
do, I don't
exceptions, more the
have, right.
exceptions.
I
Yeah.
don't have a ton of commercials, and some of you listen to shows that have a ton of commercials because they have sponsored ads, and that's great. That's how they make their money. And I've chosen not to do that because it's more beneficial for me to sell you something I've created or something I'm doing than to sell you something somebody else is doing most of the time. Now I have some affiliate relationships, but remember that I do this and Doug does this, and all podcasters generally do this on our own time, on our own dime, and we're giving it to you for free. This isn't a subscription model right now. I mean, maybe it will be in the future. I see a lot of other podcasters moving to that, and I do have a subscription podcast that's part of the membership. But I just wanted to, yeah, I would love to hear from you, especially if you've gotten anything out of the last 10 years or 8 years or 7 years and you've never done anything else. Just think about how that would feel if that was you. If you were spending all this time putting all this great content for free out to the whole entire world, and you just want to know that somebody appreciates it. I'm not a words of affirmation as my first love language. It's probably my third, but I do. But
What?
you, what?
What's that all about?
What do you mean? That it's third for me?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it be first? It's first for everybody, isn't it?
No, love language number one, guy. It is not first for everybody. In fact, when someone listens to the show and you tell me you listen to the show, in fact, that's even more important. If you tell me I've been listening for 8 years, that means more to me than you complimenting me,
Hmm.
because it means you've spent quality time with the information. I've spent quality time making it for you, and you've spent quality time listening to it. The fact that you've listened is actually more important to me than you actually loving it or whatever, giving me a compliment. I don't need the compliment, but to know that you're here, to know that you're interested and that it has impacted you in any way. You don't have to say anything about me. Just, hey, I like this. I love the show. I've been listening for however many years. Um, One of the things I want to make sure you understand as you're listening to this today, because this is a special bonus podcast, it is going to have a number on it. It's going to fall in line with the rest of the numbers, but it'll be in real time published on a different day. It's going to be published on the exact day, which in
Oh.
2024 is a Saturday.
Hmm.
And I also am running a flash bonus sale. And I want you to know that because today, Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday, are the only 2 days that you're going to be able to get basically $1,000 worth of my products and services for free.
You're
But I will
good.
tell you about that later. So just stay tuned. I just want to put that up in the front in case you think, oh, I'll listen to this later. There is a timely reason to listen to it today. So
Okay, now I know that you feverishly spent time putting together this list of the 10 things that you have accomplished, or tell me what's the official name of the list, so I
well,
refer
I
to
don't
it
know. And
properly.
I'll probably, after we're done recording, figure out the title of this episode. But I had like 10 lessons in 10 years.
All right,
Or
perfect.
but it's going to be something more than just 10 lessons. Cause of course there was more than 10 lessons. Maybe there are 10 life-changing lessons in 10 years. I don't know. I mean, yes, they've all been life-changing. These are like the biggest.
And as you go back and you look at those 10 things, and as we explain and roll those out for all in your community, JJ, exactly as you said, if you're standing in point A and looking, you're seeing point B. But if you turn around and look back from point B back to the path that you have taken to get there, what's so amazing is that, and I don't know if you've experienced this, I know I have, how many things have changed, shifted, adjusted, revised, revisions, restored, all of those things for getting me from A to B was completely different when I got to B and turned around. I'm like, oh, well, that got there completely differently than I thought. Set the goal, make it your intention to get to B, but don't necessarily focus on exactly how you are going to get there or how you got there, and be disappointed if you got there, but it was through a different methodology than you originally intended. So lots of good things. I'm ready to get into this list of 10 life's lessons learned over 10 years.
Okay. So number one, don't wait for permission.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, explain what that means to you, and maybe I can share a little insight there. So, what does "don't ask for permission" mean?
Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't ask, don't wait. So I put the show out because I had a need to explore all of the different things I was teaching my clients, and half of that information they didn't want. So I wanted to just test myself in the world. And people, if you've been listening for a while, you know the story. So I started the Fit to Love podcast in 2014, and it was a 6-day week show. I had video, 2 videos, Monday and Tuesday, and then 4 audios, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And some of those were interviews and some of them were solo shows. And each different day of the week was a different theme. It was a different topic for the day of the week. Movement Mondays, Tasty Tuesdays, thought wellness Wednesdays, thoughtful Thursdays, freedom Fridays, sexy Saturdays. I had a 6-day a week show. So part of it is giving myself permission to explore myself in the world in a different way, because
Mm.
I only knew networking events and email marketing and speaking on stage and working with the clients that I had and getting referrals from doctors and physicians like Jeannie and Alan and acupuncturists and other practitioners, chiropractors, whatever, doing networking. So the whole world of podcasting was kind of new to me. I knew it had been around. I didn't really understand it. I didn't understand it was on demand. Remember it was like telesummits, like I did telesummits, but I didn't understand, podcasts. But when I learned about it and thought, oh, this is a place I can put all different kinds of content, it became very interesting to me. And the thing about the permission was I gave what I really wanted to talk about, as most of you know, was law of attraction. It was making such a big difference in my life, but my clients didn't care. They weren't interested. I mean, they would listen and they'd be entertained, but they
Your
weren't
your
taking.
your your personal training clients,
Yes, my
not
personal training
right,
clients
right,
were
right.
not at all excited about implementing the law of attraction in their lives or being conscious about that. So I needed an outlet. And that's why I say, don't wait for permission, because nobody was going to give me permission to talk about law of attraction publicly. I snuck in that 6-day a week, a day of all the things that I really wanted to explore publicly, which was a spirituality, law of attraction, intuition, meditation, psychic abilities, all of that kind of stuff, tarot card reading, astrology. I wanted to talk about that because I was using it, doing it, healing modalities. So if you have something that's coming up inside of you and it's wanting expression or it's wanting you to act on it, do not wait for someone to tell you or give you permission or ask you if you want
Right.
to. You have to be the one that opens the door.
As an entrepreneur, I think that basically is carte blanche to do anything at any time with anyone that you want to. So I 100% agree with JJ. I think about my journey along the way. I don't believe I've ever waited for permission or asked permission from anybody. I'd much rather beg forgiveness than ask permission in any particular case. And ultimately, you don't even have to ask for, beg for, you don't have to apologize for anything. Be unapologetic about your message that is being released to the world. JJ was passionate about the subject matter that she was dealing with. She just didn't exactly know how to get that out to the world until podcasting came along. And then it was like, oh my gosh, here's an outlet for me as a talker, in your case, JJ, in my case especially. Here was my chance as a talker to release my message to the world in a format that I could show up and be excited every single time I opened up that microphone. And I know sometimes a Saturday when you're when we've got other plans or things that are going on, and when you get a bug in your brain, a bee in your bonnet about wanting to get a message out to the world, you say to me, "Hey, I'm just going to go into my studio for just a quick second and record a podcast." You've done that so many times over the years, which is awesome because that means it's something that it's a platform that you immediately can get your voice out to the world. Even if you don't release it today, just sharing the message through the recording of it is an essential component. So never, never, ever, ever, ever wait for permission. So good
Well,
first lead in lesson.
and it's, like when we were taking our hike and we had an argument and then we worked it out on the hike. And then I said, let's go home straight away and record a podcast on this. And that podcast, got people into the community, got people to do a program, got people to stick around because it hit their wound, it hit their nerve, it hit their situation. But it's also because hopefully, if you've been listening for a while and if you're new, I'm a big fan of living what you teach. And if you don't know already, there are a bunch of people you might follow who actually don't live what they teach. They're a little bit fake. They're a little posers. They're different behind the camera. They're different behind the scenes. They're different when they're off the stage. I think I'm pretty much the same. That's been the feedback I've gotten from everybody all the time is that I'm no different here. And then when you're here with me in person, one-on-one or in a group, I am consistently congruent in my life. I live what I'm talking
I
about.
will attest to that too because I live with her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes much to her dismay. I am right on the heels of her all day, every day, and she is 100% right. JJ lives what she preaches. She practices what she preaches. She is exactly the person that she is bringing to you every episode. She is bringing to me at home.
Thanks, babe. All right. Number two is everything is a test.
Hmm.
Now
Everything
that is
is a test.
mostly for business, but it's also personal. Everything is a test, meaning if you want to start or try something new, this could be in your personal life also. It's a test, meaning you don't know how it's going to go until you try it. So you can't, most people sit back and don't take action because they're not sure what's going to happen on their side.
Mm-mm.
Guess
Jeez.
what? Nobody does. Everything is a test. The whole point is you do it anyway. You feel the fear and you do it anyway. And if you don't like the results, then you do something else.
Slightly different spin on that lesson that you have learned. It's more for me, I am building this plane as I am flying it, which is basically the same idea as everything is a test. You don't know until you throw up the flare who is going to respond. And sometimes we throw up the flare thinking we have a great idea. And this is the best part about podcasting too, is because we can create these ideas in a vacuum and think that they're great, but when we bring it to the airwaves and talk to our communities about it, it might fall flat or it might not go anywhere, and that's okay. I throw up enough things that are good ideas. I mean, every idea, every program that JJ has, now she may be using support tools and other people's ideas to formulate some of hers, but every idea that JJ has had is an original JJ idea. Every product, every service, she's created that from ground zero, ground one, from the very beginning, right off the line, and know that without having first tested the idea through the community, she would not bring it out to you. She's not going to create a product and then say to the community, "What do you think?" She's going to create an idea and bring it out to you guys. What do you think? And then create the product. Oftentimes with a beta group. And I do love the way you work through your project or deliverable selection as well.
Well, and the betas are, I mean, this one is ridiculous right now. I mean, you should see the amount of life changing. I mean, I hear it every day. This is life changing. Oh my God, I can't believe this is possible. In the Date Your Body beta, I mean, I've Marco after Marco, and I've already asked them all to give me like their accomplishments of the first month so that I know what we're doing and how to help them more moving forward into the second month.
Can I ask you, do you remember the origin of the Date Your Body? Do you remember where you were when you thought about it? I know I put you on the spot here, but do you remember how that program came about?
Well, Date Your Body was part of the 6-week beach body program that I did back in 2009 with Adelaide Dunton. And I loved the title. And it was the emotional piece of the 6-week Beachbody that we had created back then. And I think we created it around 2007. And then we created sort of the 6-week Beachbody in a box. Like we made it a program, like we did it, with people on the phone, a teleconferencing, that kind of thing. And then we made it into like a workbook and a downloadable thing in like 2009. And then we moved away from it because Adelaide was a hypnotherapist and she did other things. And then I kind of always kept it in the back of my mind as a great title, and it was time. So here it is. And I don't remember when. I know a lot of times I get our ideas when we're hiking. That's
So
where I got the rewire when the beta, because I've been searching for a way to do a 3-month program that felt good to me, that could be effective and focused and produce results, instead of asking people just to jump into a 6-month program. And I was talking out with you through the process of, well, what are we actually doing in this program? What actually are the results someone's going to have? And that's when I was like, well, we're rewiring the core wound patterns. And I was like, boom, there it is. Okay. So I literally probably came home and made that beta like the next day. So yeah, so everything is a test. It doesn't mean it's going to work. And if you go into any choice that you make with that in mind, then it takes the pressure off of failing,
mm,
because you aren't attached to if it's going to work or not. It's a test. You're trying it on. It's like you don't go to the store and look for a dress or a pair of pants or a pair of shoes, and the first ones you try on, you cry about it because you're like, oh my God, it didn't work. These don't fit. These are terrible. They hurt my. No, because there's another store 30 feet away. Those don't work, you go find another one. So if we could like take a second and move a little bit back and have a different perspective about some of the choices that we make, I think that'll lighten you up and help you to, explore a little bit more. Because I think
for
everybody needs to explore a little bit more.
and for those that are in the community that are not necessarily entrepreneurial minded, totally fine. Just know that the way to bring product to the market is not to create the product and then sell it to an audience. The way to do it is to create the idea, present the idea to an audience, and see what they say. Run it up the flagpole. Don't be so attached to the idea that come hell or high water, I'm going to make this a product. It's not necessarily the most successful way to do it, unless you are looking for quick failure with a lot of time, effort, and energy and money spent on a service.
Yes, and I even have a free mini course on that called the five steps to efficiently creating your product. I think it's jjflizanes.com/5 steps. Any hoodle. Okay, number 3, allow yourself to be guided. Now, that's a caveat. There's a caveat to that, because when you're guided, I want you to make sure you listen and then you act. It's one thing to get messages. It's one thing to have signs from the universe, from God, from yourself, to get these hits, to have ideas and inspirations, to download. I download all the time, especially when we're doing a hike. When I'm outside, it's always happening. But when you get the downloads, it's then you have to listen and act on them, because a lot of you are getting downloads, you are getting hits, you are getting signs, and you're ignoring them. And so it's a big lesson of trust. If you came into this podcast community because you wanted to learn how to use law of attraction, well, that's part of it. Part of it is getting into alignment and following the impulse. Okay. So that would be the impulse, but you have to listen to it and follow it. You can't just get the impulse and then ignore it, because they'll stop happening. Because if you doubt it and you don't explore it, then you don't strengthen that connection. And you think that you're here by yourself with no support, which could not be further from the truth. If you've been listening for a while, you understand. And Doug knows this concept because I teach it every time I have a live event. I make a nice little drawing and it's of the sun. And whether you want to call it God or source or creator or goddess or Buddha, I don't really care. But there is a universe, there is a creation and a creator. Let's say it's the sun. And all of us are an extension of that. We're sunbeams, which means that you're always a part of creator. You're always a part of source energy. The larger part of who you really are is non-physical. It's not physical. It's energetic. Your soul is so huge. You are connected to everyone and everything. And when you forget that, you think you're by yourself on this planet, in this body, in this meat suit, disconnected from source and other ways of intuiting information. But the fact is, you are just an extension of the greatest power ever, but you never use it. whether you believe in angels or your ancestors or your pets or people that you know or the trees or whatever, fairies, I don't care what it is. Whatever you believe in, they can't help you if you're not in a state to allow them to guide you. And so that's why number 3 is allow yourself to be guided, because I'll tell you, when I started the show, I was working with John Lee Dumas. I was in his community, and he has a big thing on like follow the path until the path is fruitful, which means don't change course. If you're doing Fit to Love, don't give up, keep going, keep going, keep going. And my intuition said they can't find you. And it didn't quit Fit to Love. I just rebranded, which is, how I came up with a network. I rebranded because I listened to my intuition. I got the guidance, but it wasn't the guidance my coach was telling me, because he has the way of doing his things. And I got a very clear message. And had I not followed that, we would all not be here right now, because there was no way that I could have sustained what I was doing with Fit to Love for 10 years with the lack of like proof that was working or connection or building a community, because it didn't have the power it did when I actually followed the guidance that I got.
How do you discern, just for those in our in your listening community, how should they discern between a download that's worth following and a download that is just a fleeting moment of an idea? Is there some filter that you can run these through? Because I know some people are idea generating factories, and some people are factories of negativity that shut down every idea that comes through their head because they're like, no, that won't work. So how do you discern?
Well, if you're upper limiting by saying no to everything coming in, that's a whole nother conversation. But I would keep a journal if somebody is a download factory, and write down it's all really about the feeling. You know, if when there's something that's right for you, you're going to get multiple signs. And you can ask for signs. You can say, show me, what is, if this person is around, or if this is actually what I'm supposed to be interpreting. You can ask how to have the signs shown to you. But I would write them down, because I'm obviously an idea generator, and I'm someone who would not do to-do lists for years because it gave me anxiety, because my to-do list never got shorter. Doesn't matter how much I accomplished, because I always had new ideas. But all ideas are not worth following, but they're worth acknowledging. If you have 20
Mhm.
ideas
Mhm.
and you're still lit up about them 2 weeks later, a month later, then you find the through line, and
Right.
you
Right.
feel into what feels like the best, and you can sit and wait. I mean, I just did, one of my list of accomplishments, and I do want to run through these, just to list them for my own affirmation of appreciating what I've been able to accomplish in this time frame. But one of the things that I did this year was host my own summit. And it was a big deal. It was a lot of big names. I did well with it financially. I did well with it on the list building side. I mean, I could always have done better, but I knew what my expectations were, but I hit all the marks. And I've waited a long time to do a summit. It's not something I wanted to throw together. I wanted heavy hitters. I wanted it to be in a certain way, and I wanted it to be the right name. And I came up with the name, not knowing it was going to be a summit, in 2020.
Hmm.
And it's 2024. It took me 4 years to take an idea that I had to make sure that it was the right time and the right method to bring it into fruition. So the whole guidance piece, people are here on the show listening to this, regardless of which avenue you came from: spirit, purpose, and energy, women, men, and relationships, nutrition, alternative medicine. There's a theme underneath all of it of information is one thing, but guidance is another. And we can take in all this information, but we have to be able to be with it and allow what's right for us to emerge, and to listen and to tap in and to leverage. My favorite word, leverage. I had taken so many classes about money and business and whatever. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I want leverage. Leverage is when you set something in motion and it has a life of its own. And that's what happened when I put out spirit, purpose, and energy. I put it out in the world, and I backed away, I walked away, and then it had a life of its own. That's leverage. And leverage happens is when you listen to your intuition and you allow an idea to create momentum, and that momentum has a life of its own. If you are a naysayer, if you're negative, you will create negative momentum. And I wouldn't listen to yourself or make any decisions from that point.
Each one of these lessons, life lessons, podcast lessons, lessons learned over the last 10 years has an episode of its very own built into it. I knew we were going to go here. JJ said, "Hey, I've got X amount of time that I think we should dedicate to this." And I thought, as soon as she said that, I'm like, well, I am sure that you're going to be able to create a podcast episode out of each one of these things. But for the sake of creating this list of 10, we're 3 down, correct? Or 2 down?
I'll speed it up. Okay, the next one is follow your
That
oh, on
wasn't
the
that wasn't to make you speed it up. It was
well,
more
no, I don't
because your content is so rich that I feel like you are able to dedicate a whole episode to each.
I absolutely could record a whole podcast episode about each one of these, but and maybe I will in the future because who knows? Because well, if any of you are listening would like me to dive deeper into one of these, let me know. I would love to be able to give you what you're looking for, what you're interested in. I came up with this morning having coffee as I was reviewing, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at all my episodes, and I didn't need to do that because I took a really wide lens and looked at what is it that has impacted me the most, and what are the pivotal moments, what are the life-changing moments. So the next one is follow your intuition and know what that means. So following your intuition is kind of the same thing as allowing yourself to be guided. First part is the awareness that you're getting a thought and that you're open to the outside or inside. It could be your subconscious, it could be your higher self that is nudging you towards something, and noticing and allowing that to be a real thing. That is what intuition is. People often say, well, I don't know, how do I strengthen my intuition? I created a whole course called Strengthening Your Intuition. And part of it is because we don't trust the thought that we have. The thought comes in easily and then we bat it away and go, no, that can't be that easy. And it's like, well, yeah, that is that easy. So part of it is about developing a trust and following your intuition. But in order to follow it, you have to start doing that. You have to start trusting it. You have to start taking action. I'll tell you what your intuition is not. It's negative. When you're out of alignment, any thought you have is not your intuition. So when you're about to make a decision about something, get yourself into alignment, detach from the situation, find a new frequency, put on some music, take a nap, take a walk, take a bath, go swimming, dance, do something that gets you into a completely different frequency. And when you feel aligned and hopeful and grounded and peace, then you think about that thing again, and then you'll get the answer that you're looking for. But when you're in a negative momentum, do not trust or listen to or act on anything that's happening in this negative momentum unless it's you getting help to come to the other side. But do not make any decisions when you're in a negative momentum. So
Great advice. I love it. I have nothing to add to that because it is on point and totally understandable and comprehensive.
the next one's kind of easy because I have an entire course called this. It's called Master the Law of Attraction. So my course is called Law of Attraction Mastery. And why I say master the law of attraction is
You
because no
are a
matter,
master at that, by the way. It's just
thank
so you
you.
know.
Well, no matter what's happening, and you know how when I thought of that, it was what was happening in my marriage at the time. I really learned how to live in a different frequency no matter what was happening around me. That is a skill. It is hard. You do not do it easily. The reason why a lot of you suck at law of attraction is because you don't know how to live in a frequency that is outside your current circumstances. But it literally is the exact name of the game. It is about choosing to be on a frequency no matter what is going on around you and committing to seeing and believing and feeling whatever that is, whatever that result is, whatever it means to you in your mind. That's why you have a vision board. You look at a vision board because it's something that you want that you don't have. You take a look at it, you get feelings, you get excited, you have sensation. It's milking that. It's living in that no matter what is happening around you. So I don't mean it lightly, but it's mastering. You have every one of you out there has a situation that is an opportunity for you to learn this. And you keep wanting to blame your husband, your work, your children, your boss, your family, your environment, the politics, the medical system, whatever. You want to blame everybody else of why you can't feel better, and it's bullshit. Master the law of attraction. Get my course. Well, I'll tell you about. Don't get it yet because it might be included in something. But seriously, it is your life force. And it is the one thing, if I had to tell you one thing to learn in your entire life that will change your entire life, is law of attraction. Okay.
Our house, our relationship, our major purchases, all of these things have come to us. Course creation, content creation, client retention, it has all come through the wonderful world of the law of attraction. And I have seen it firsthand. I know it works for JJ. I know it works for me. I've been a guy that walks out to the mailbox and says, I wonder what good is going to be in that mailbox today. What check is coming for me today? And recently, I've gotten a really big check as a result of walking out to the mailbox that I really didn't feel like was coming, but JJ knew it was on its way to us. So very
Yep.
interesting. A lot of good stuff happening. Law of attraction, master the law of attraction. I 100% agree.
Number 6 is surrender more. So, that's really this. I had us in mind when I made some of this list right now. Mastering the art of law of attraction was what allowed me to live in a frequency of being happy, excited, passionate, always hopeful, believing, knowing that I was going to get what I wanted, not knowing how to have other people help me with that necessarily, but I lived in the state of believing and knowing that it was going to happen. And then the surrender piece was when I let go. When I let go of what I thought it should look like. And for me, that was I needed to be a person. I needed it to be a specific person. And that's when you arrived. And the universe was very, very clear in dropping you into my lap and saying, this guy. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. No, no, no. I didn't ask for, I wanted in the other guy. I'm not looking for a new person. I'm like, I'm doing all this work to save my marriage. I'm not looking for a new person. But the universe is like, yeah, but you're at a frequency where that person isn't going to be.
Mm.
And what you want and what you've written about and what you vibrate about and what you dream about and what you milk every day is something this person is in alignment with. And I was like, oh, so but it didn't happen until I surrendered. It didn't happen until I let go and decided to allow the chips to fall where they may. I had hope. I did it. I didn't say, okay, I said, let's get separated and you go live, we'll take a year apart. And that was a surrender piece. I finally let my grip go because I was afraid to let go so that it might fail. It might end. I didn't want that. So, but when I just trusted that I have to throw my hands up, there's nothing more I can do. I have done literally more than any average person I've ever met in my entire freaking life has done in terms of taking responsibility for learning what I can heal, what I can do, what I can share, all the things. I'm not saying I did everything right by any means, but it happened the way it was supposed to happen. But it wasn't until I surrendered did I get what I wanted. And
Just making sure the expiration date was a year. It wasn't 10 years, right? So he can't come back now. Is that right? Just making sure I got this right.
we're good. You know
We're
that
good?
you're
Okay,
making
good.
a joke. You're
All right.
making a joke.
Let me go rekey the house then. So that all
Ha
is good.
ha. Ha ha. But the surrender more was, yeah, and it's in all things. Surrendering to, when you don't have any money in your bank account, surrendering to when the bills are really high, surrendering to that. I mean, that just happened to me the other day. I mean, like how the money works for me with clients coming in, there have been times where so much is going out that there's literally zero in the checking account. And I go, okay, well, things are on their way and I'm not going to freak out about it. And I had a great day. Like sometimes I think I've trained my brain to when the worst possible thing happens, because I've had some bad things happen over the years. I've had before the podcast, I had my car repoed. I've had some pretty scary things, but they always teach me that I'm bigger than all of them and that they're just a moment in time. But we judge ourselves for where we are and we think, oh, I should be somewhere different. Well, guess what? Tomorrow is going to be different. Every moment in time changes. And as anyone who's had any tragedy or trauma happen in your life, you know that everything can change in a
Hmm.
split
Yep.
second,
Yep.
from death to bankruptcy to you get fired to death to disease. Things can change in a split second. We are so
To the positive also, just so everybody knows,
yeah, yeah,
not all negative, right?
to the positive also, right? You could come into, to money, into whatever things that happen to you and that are magic are a split second, but the energy behind it and that creates it. And the fact that it's here in this red hot moment, it's a moment in time. It is not your vibrational reality right now. It's a culmination of what was. It's not what is. And you have full power over what you're creating moving forward. So just wanted to say,
All for your greater good. All for your
absolutely.
greater good. If you feel like everything that is happening, I'm not saying put on a false face and just grind your way through it, but just know, believe, feel like it's all happening for your greater good.
Absolutely. All right. Number 7 is ask for what you want. You have to ask. You have to ask. Dr. Davis, I asked Dr. Davis to be on the show and I knew he had a podcast. And at the end of it, I said, well, maybe you'd have me on your podcast. And he said, oh, yes, of course. So then I've been on his podcast like 3 or 4 times. He doesn't have a lot of guests. I have many of you are listening to me because you came from Dr. Davis, but Dave, I didn't wait for him to ask me. I asked him. Now, of course, I had him on my show first, Harville Hendrix was the first famous person in my eyes that I had on in 2018. And he, one of my favorite people, one of my life-changing favorite people. And I really, really, here's law of attraction. Love you, Helen. I really, really wanted Harville. I didn't really want Harville and Helen. I wanted Harville. But they were a package deal and they come together all the time. And many of you have heard this story. So I surrendered. I was just happy to have him. I was feeling so honored that he'd say yes to come onto my show. And then it was just him. She couldn't come that day. So I got what I wanted. I got a conversation with just him. And by the end of it, he told me that he was a fan of me. And he, so you have to ask. If there's someone you want to talk to, someone you want to, work with, something you want to do, you have to ask. If you want to know what someone thinks about you, don't assume, ask. You have to ask, and you have to ask for what you want and tell people what you want, because they're not going to guess, because they have their own things they're dealing with. So please stop waiting for someone else to guess at what you want. Own it and ask for it.
You've had so many great guests: Bruce Lipton, Anita Morjani, the Dying to Be Me, Eben Alexander. I mean, Harville Hendrix, Gay Hendrix. I just think about none of them, I'm not saying this in a negative way, but none of them were raising their hand and saying, "Oh my God, this JJ Flizanes, I want to get on our show." No, JJ went out and found them and got them and basically waited until they said yes. And she was tenacious about it, and not in an obnoxious way. And all of these things, you have to go for what you want, know that it's coming, and know that you can have it, know that you're worthy and deserving of whatever positive results that you're going to get. When somebody says no, just don't say, "Well, I figured they were going to say no, so I guess I deserve that. Oh, I'm not any good." That's going to feed on its own. JJ has gotten everything she has gotten as a result of her tenaciously going after her goals.
And asking. There is something I want to share about that, but I guess I'll do that on a different episode, because let's just give you the hint that it has something to do with Bruce Lipton. And I had to ask, and I got what I asked for. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait to announce it and share it, and I will, but not today. All right. So the next one, build or find a community to grow with. So
It's everything for this show. It's your community is everything.
your community is everything. Who do you talk to about this stuff? People don't, you will adapt to the people that you're around. And if you're around people who are not having these conversations, but you're secretly listening to the show and wishing you could have more conversations with people about this kind of stuff, join the community. I attracted it. I built it, and you can just find it. If you're here, you're part of it. But this is where you step forward. So here's the 10-year anniversary flash sale special. I have an event coming up in a couple of weeks called it the Embodied Healing Intensive. I'm sure you've heard of it by now if you've been listening to the show. I don't do an event every year. I mean, I might try to commit to an event every year, but it's never going to be the same event every time. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, literally. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to learn and explore and do the things that we're talking about right now. Right now. So if you need these things right now, this is the time to come, because it's not going to happen in 2 years or 3 years. We'll be past this by then. It's right. It's going to be old news. So if any of this resonates with you, we're going to be exploring this on a much deeper level. So if you have not bought your ticket yet, today is Saturday, September 14th, and tomorrow, Sunday, September 15th. You have 48 hours to buy your ticket, and you get $1,000 worth of products and services. So what that means is, what is on that list is any one of my online courses, and there are 12. I have 12 online courses. Okay. So the value will equal. So for instance, it's $697 for the roadmap to emotional healing, and it's $297 for strengthening intuition. So that's about $1,000. It's $700 and $300. So you could get those two courses for free when you buy your ticket for the Embodied Healing Intensive and join us live in the community, because it is life changing to feel safe, free, seen, heard, validated, encouraged, loved, supported. Like I promise, no one in your life does this at the capacity that we can do it for you, because we're not attached to you and what your choices are necessarily, because we get to be bystanders and supporters and cheerleaders and be all in with you, but there's no risk for us. Not to mention is that when you show up in my room, there's a special connection that gets made with everybody else in the room, because you know that everyone who's there listens to all the same things you do and is potentially interested in most of the same things that most of your family, friends, and coworkers do not talk about. So in order for you to keep growing as a person, as a business, you have to find a community. It is the most important thing, because it's so lonely and hard for you to stimulate yourself, like to grow when you have nobody. That's why everyone is a personal trainer. Not everyone. When you're a personal trainer, they make you work harder. When you have a community of people who you can feed off of, that can support you, that energetically turns into a new energy. I can't even describe it when you're in it. So build or
Accountability,
find a community.
accountability and support are unlike none other. And I've been a part of many, 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 many groups. I've been to many live events, and even though I have watched this happen over the years, I feel like I am a part of this community. I feel like I know so many of your clients, so many of your listeners, so many people that have grown along with you, JJ. And it is a community unlike any other that I've ever been a part of. So hats off to you for creating that environment. But that's, again, it's a testament to the leader of the group, and that's you, and it's a testament to your passion and your conviction that you put into every single thing that you do with this group. So if you're in her listening community and you have not ever attended a live event, do it. Even if the $1,000 of stuff didn't come with it, do it anyway. But I mean, it makes it even easier for you to make a decision. Basically, get to the event. Don't. I think you've said this so many times. You talk about it's not I can't afford it. It's how can I afford it?
Right. Yeah. If you want to, you have to think outside the box. You have to ask, how can I? If it's a plane ticket, use somebody else's points. Open a credit card. Literally, literally, I'm telling a client, get her butt here. She's in a program. She gets ticket included. And I said, beg, borrow, and steal to get your butt here, because it will literally change your life. I don't know how much more emphatically I can make that, how much more I can guarantee her transformation just by coming. Okay. And I wish that for all of you. So, all right. So that was number 8. So number 9, know your zone of genius. Know your zone of genius, because even if you're not in it, understanding what it is will help you maybe get some courage to eventually try to work it into your life. Because if you're doing a job that you hate just for money, you're disconnected and you don't know who you really are. Literally, if you do not know what your zone of genius is, and that's not even in business, that's just in life. Everyone, I don't care if you're a housewife or a house husband, you have a zone of genius. It's important to know what it is, because it's part of who you are in this lifetime, and the gifts and talents you have to give. And the more you understand that, the more you lean into that, the happier you will be, the more successful you will be, the healthier you will be, because your whole energy system and your whole law of attraction will support you manifesting a way to put it out into the world, because you're clear about what it is.
When
So
I
know
when
your
I
zone.
when I learned the zone of genius thing from JJ and Gay Hendricks, when I learned that as a part of JJ's community, I discovered I was able to focus just on the stuff I was passionate about, the gifts that were given to me, the God-given gifts that I have, the things that I feel come easy to me, but the rest of the world says, geez, that doesn't come easy to me at all. Those are the things that that's the environment. Those are the waters that I swim in really well. And so the result was I was working far less, because there was a lot of delegation involved and a lot of getting other people in my community involved in the things that weren't in my zone of genius. So there was less work, but more success, because I was more excited every day about the things that were in my zone of genius. So only focus on your zone of genius if you would like to work less or do less and get more, receive more.
Absolutely. And then number 10, and we're going to end here. Well, I'd like to share my accomplishments, is take risks. Take risks. When you can see older people who regret. I mean, Bonnie Ware wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. I talked about that book on an episode way in the beginning of this podcast, literally 10 years ago. I'd revisit that, especially if you're over 40. The top 5 regrets of the dying, because you don't want to be that person. You don't want to ask yourself, why didn't you take more risks? So what? Because you care what other people think about you? Do you really want to be on your deathbed wondering why you didn't actually follow through with traveling, starting a business, being just happier, investing in yourself, going away by yourself, exploring the world a little bit more?
Leaving a
Take a risk.
relationship that's not working.
Yeah, leaving a relationship that's not working. Yeah, definitely. So please take a risk. All right, now I just want to share to finish out. And there's more than this, but this is just what came to me quickly. In the last 10 years, I've written a book. I also did a second edition of that book, and then also finished the audiobook. I started a network. I created 12 courses. That's like one a year, or actually I did sometimes more than one a year. I've created 6 group programs, and that includes Date Your Body. I got divorced. I met my soulmate. I bought a house in the place that I've always wanted to live and manifested that house with said soulmate, aka Doug Sandler, on the other side of the mic. And we had a great time doing it. We had a great time visualizing our back porch. And, of course, now we actualize the things we visualized. We visualized having coffee, looking at our yard and our trees and our pool and our back porch. And now it's exactly what we have. I got what does that say? Got myself. Oh, right. So I'm sorry. That's something I'm not going to share until later. So sorry, I'm looking at my scribble.
Yeah, now you
This
have
would
to
be
make up
when
another
learning
one.
how to write better is better for me. I started a mastermind. I hosted 8 live events. Yeah, I hosted 8 live events, and I did my first summit. Anyway, there's more than this. This is just the top of this is just like the highlights. But
Foster
it's
foster 25 kittens.
yeah, 27. Yeah. So there's a lot more to that, but I just wanted to sort of acknowledge myself because I am proud of myself for all the
You
things that
should
I've
be.
done.
You've done
And
so much, so
and
much, so much accomplished.
it's I'm a super producer, and people can do that and more. It's really not about the amount of things, but it's the amount of things that came from what I just talked about. I did all of this by allowing myself to be guided, following my intuition, mastering law of attraction, surrendering, asking for what I want, building a community, knowing my zone of genius, taking a risk. Everything is a test, and don't wait for permission. Everything I've created has been from this list of 10 things. So there we go. So
And I got to say also, the majority of those things have been because of your podcast.
yes, a 100%.
I,
So as we wrap up, because we went a little longer than I wanted to, but I appreciate the conversation, Mr. Sandler, and for you helping me to bring this to the community. I could have done a solo show, but I wanted the interaction because you've been with me for 6 of the 10 years. Yep, 6 of the 10 years. And you were some of those major, major manifestations. And because we're podcasters and you can witness me in a different way than anybody else can, I do appreciate you participating. So everyone, you have 48 hours. When you buy the ticket, you forward me the receipt, JJ at jjflizanes.com, say anniversary special, and I will give you the list of products and services. It could even include, although that would be the end of it, though, would be a 2-session pack with me. So 2 one-on-one sessions with me. So I'll let you know what's included. It's any of the courses, and even 2 sessions with me is included in that. So again, $1,000 worth of products and services when you buy your ticket for Working Your Dream Life. Hello, what year am I in? I'm leaving that in because it's kind of funny. Everyone in the community does that. Like whatever the last event was is what they say. Oh, I'm going to be attending the boot camp, or I'm going to be attending Waking Your Dream Life. I'm like, it's called Embodied Healing Intensive. So I hope to see you there. I hope you'll take a risk. I hope you'll get out from behind the earbuds and show up for yourself in a new and impactful way. And I hope to meet you sometime soon.
so proud of you. I love you, JJ.
Thanks, babe. Love you too.